So there's slightly more than 1 month left until Platinum comes out. Well, that depends when you're watching this video, because if you're watching it in the distant future, Platinum might have been out for 2 or 3 years, but as of this video, when I'm making this video, there's just over 1 month left. And while I'm expecting it to be a major improvement over Diamond and Pearl, mostly because I've already seen the new features and everything, one thing I fear is that it's going to be even easier than Diamond and Pearl. And the reason for that is because of the Sinnoh Dex expansion. Now, normally, more Pokemon to catch in the first part of the game is a good thing, especially since 150 just wasn't enough. The problem is how strong those Pokemon are. Just look at, well, Scizor. It's the new king of the game with Bullet Punch. Now what's effective in against other players and what's effective in-game varies, but still, Scizor is an excellent choice to use in-game. And there's also, well, there's Houndoom, which isn't too bad. There's Absol, yeah, Absol, it's underused, but it's a damn good one, too. There's Altaria, which is the only underused, dragon. Well, as of, well, the old underused, but I'm still expecting that to remain. So, yeah, Altaria, if you want a dragon, that's why it always played a major part of the underused metagame, because it was the only dragon there. And yeah, there's also Tropius, which, well, it's completely useless, except as an HM slave. And I wonder if they added Tropius on purpose, as if they knew it complemented D-Barrel so well when it comes to HM, so they wanted to make HM managing a bit less of a pain, which is real nice of them. But yeah, those 5 are the only final forms that were added to the Sinnoh Dex that didn't evolve in Diamond and Pearl. The others, well, let's just look at their tiering. Magnezone, overused. Lickilicky, borderline. Rhyperior, overused. Tangrowth, borderline. Electivire, overused. Magmortar, borderline. Togekiss, overused. Yanmega, I don't remember which one it is. I think it was knocked down to borderline because of the loss of accuracy of Hypnosis, but still, it's a very high borderline, even if it's not overuse. After that, there's Leafeon, borderline. Glaceon, one of the rare underused Pokemon in there. Gliscor, overused. Mamoswine, overused. After that, there's Porygon Z, overused. Gallade, borderline, but really high borderline. It was one of the first suspects on the new underused ladder, so yeah, it keeps going between overused and borderline on a seemingly monthly basis. As for next is Probopass, it's another one of those rare underused on there. Dusknoir, overused. Frostlass, borderline. And as for Rotom, you even have access to the new forms. You get it earlier, like get it at the beginning of the game almost, and then right after you beat the Eterna Galactic building, if you have the secret key, then you can access the new forms with their awesome stats and move pool and everything. So, see what I mean? There are so many good choices of Pokemon that you don't have to round out your team with really shitty ones, aside of course for HM slaves. And yeah, I know the gym leaders are tougher, their levels are increased, they have tougher rosters, but that's just not quite enough to offset the real awesomeness of that second section of the Sinnoh Dex, the one that comes after all the legendaries minus Giratina. And as for the Elite Four, well, they actually send the levels down a little by like 3 or 4 levels. Cynthia's Garchomp is now level 62, and that's the highest that you're gonna meet. But at the same time, they improved the rosters a little still. So, for example, Aaron's, Beautifly, and Dustox are gone, and in their place, we've got Scizor and Yanmega. So that's a big improvement, I think. Even with a few less levels, it's still more than enough to offset that. But there is one gym leader whose levels were considerably downgraded because now she comes much earlier in the game. I'm talking about Fantina. She used to be in the mid-30s, now she's in the mid-20s, and she de-evolved her Gengar. She swapped her Drifblim for a Duskull. Why a Duskull? I'm not too sure. Why not a Dusclops? It's not like it's got an excessive stat total and everything, especially since you'll be facing it once. You can't farm it with the Versus Seeker. So yeah, Dusclops has a base stat total of 455. That's not overwhelming, but the distribution was good enough that in the advanced generation, Dusclops was actually overused with that seemingly puny stat total. Meanwhile, Pidgeot had a base stat total of 469, and yet it was never used. 3 tiers lower. So it was the perfect rebuttal to anyone who said that tiers were based on stats. Pidgeot had a 14-point advantage, and it was bottom tier, while Dusclops was top tier. Now it doesn't work quite as well because nowadays there's Dusknoir, and I seriously doubt that Dusclops would have remained overused had it not evolved. But now on to another subject, this time about the flow of battle. I want you to take a look at when Tangela is going to die. So see here, it's going down, and it's gone already. It didn't cry like in the more recent games, so yeah, that cry is completely useless. There was no reason to have a Pokemon cry when it died, so this is another argument that supports the suggestion that the battles are going on longer and longer needlessly. And I think it's even more of a problem than the pre-battle dances, except for the really long ones like Electrikes. But yeah, the thing with pre-battle dances is that most of the time they occur at the same time as the cry, so they don't really take up too much time. The cry when the Pokemon dies, on the other hand, is just excessive and completely useless. It accomplishes nothing. You've already heard the cry when the Pokemon came out. Oh yeah, the XP All, I remember that one. It's a neat little item that simulates the effect of having an XP share on every single one of your Pokemon. And yeah, I don't think it's that useful personally because diligent training can take the place of the XP All just fine. That and the XP share is more effective because more often than not, you'll want experience on 2 or 3 Pokemon at most, not all 6. Not to mention that it gets really long when you fight a wild Tentacool. Ugh, look at that sprite, it's so unbelievably ugly. I'm already tired of looking at it, and it just flashed for like 1 second. I'm really hoping that I catch Articuno in one Ultra Ball like I did with Zapdos, just so I don't have to look at that horrendous sprite for too much. Else I might need to bring a barf bag in addition to popcorn and everything. So now I'm doing what I said I was going to do once that path to Fuchsia was over. I'm going to take the fossils to Cinnabar Island to revive them, dodging the trainers along the way so that I can keep them for later, for when I really need them, preferably after I catch Articuno, so I can at least level it up to have it catch up to my team real fast. So the best way to dodge those trainers, as I've noticed from the map on Cerebi's Poke Earth, is to hug the left wall. If you do that, you shouldn't fight anything more than wild Tentacles. And that's the example I was talking about earlier, but I didn't get the chance to finish. If you equip an XP All, and you're fighting like a wild Tentacool, at the end of the battle it's all like, Alakazam gained 21 experience points, Zapdos gained 21 experience points, Venusaur gained 21 experience points, Gengar gained 21 experience points, Spearow gained 21 experience points, Krabby gained 21 experience points. See? Okay, next time.